What's up, guys? This is Shanko and Spence show. And last night, I had the fortune of going to the college football playoff and the college football final. And it was so impressive how the Clemson Tigers were able to really shut down Derrick Henry in the second half. Alabama was not able to play their game last night. When you look at Alabama's schedule this year, Derrick Henry went off against Texas A&M on the road in Starkville in a hostile environment playing Mississippi State. Derrick Henry gashed the living daylights out of them, and Dak Prescott was kept in check because Mississippi State's offensive linemen couldn't block a pass rush of Alabama. In the games where Alabama has won, they have dominated the line of scrimmage, and they have left no doubt. When they beat LSU at home this year, same thing. They left no doubt that they were the better football team. If Michigan State and Alabama were to play 100 more times, Bama would win 95% of those games because Alabama won the line of scrimmage and they dominated. And the offenses of these teams really cannot put pressure on the Alabama defense. Clemson is a different animal. They are one of the best teams in the nation. And if Clemson recovered the onside kick that Alabama sent out, Deshaun Watson was feeling it last night. Even when Clemson was down 12 with a minute and 30 to go in the game, Deshaun Watson was still drilling receivers. He was playing like he was out in the backyard. And Alabama had no answer. 80 rushing yards, 400 passing yards, 40 points. Gallman even got hot in the second half because they were running stretch plays away from the Alabama defensive line. And on the other side of the football, Derrick Henry in the second half was stoned by Shaq Lawson, and Dodd was tremendous. Dodd is probably going to declare for the NFL draft because he had such a strong game. So I was so surprised because Alabama was favored by a touchdown. A lot of people thought Alabama's pass rush was so much better and they would get to Deshaun Watson, but Mac Lane and Clemson's line blocked up for Deshaun Watson. He had all day to throw. When he hit Renfree for those early touchdowns, he had time in the pocket. He was able to get out on the edge. And Derrick Henry in the second half, when they wanted to run the football, Clemson's defensive line clamped down big time. And if you were going to tell Dabo Swinney you would score 40 points, Derrick Henry would have less than 40 yards in the second half. Or I believe we're going to just say, for comfort's sake, less than 60 yards. The fact is, other than the Ole Miss game where Jay Coker was sick, you had Cooper Bateman playing in one of his first football games, and Alabama just literally, they had 5 turnovers against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss was probably thinking, phew, we are glad this game is over because we're not the better team. We got fortunate on a Chad Kelly throw where he just chucked it up in the air and they scored a touchdown. And we're fortunate that Alabama gave us the ball 5 times. Ole Miss and Bama, if they played, 100 more times or if they played other times like an NBA series, Bama would take care of them because Ole Miss had those fortunate plays. If you look at the NFL this year, you had Chip Kelly and the Philadelphia Eagles going to New England to play the Patriots. The Patriots are the number 2 seed in the AFC. And the Eagles had a punt return for a touchdown, a blocked kick for a touchdown, and a pick 6 in one game, which is unbelievably rare, and they were able to win. And you look at Clemson and Alabama, and nothing was fluky about this game in terms of Clemson staying tough. They didn't catch any breaks. I mean, I know Adam Griffith missed a field goal, but Bama got a lot more or so-called breaks or unusual plays last night. Nick Saban even admitted in the press conference that Deshaun Watson was flat out dealing. He was hot last night, and we couldn't give him the ball back, and that's why we resorted to that tactic of that onside kick, which worked out brilliantly. Lane Kiffin had a brilliant game plan offensively with O.J. Howard getting wide open, and Jake Coker had a career day. Jake Coker, they needed every one of those yards in order to defeat Clemson. And most people thought Alabama would dominate the line of scrimmage, and that was far from the truth. It was 17 points on special teams. It was Kenyon Drake returning a touchdown. Kenyon Drake has been quiet this season while he's been injured, but over his Alabama career, ever since his freshman year, Alabama fans are thinking that Kenyon Drake would break out and really be a dominant and a steady, consistent force. And Drake, out of the backfield, hasn't been the TJ Yeldon that Alabama fans are expecting. Last night, he came back heroically after an injury this year, had a long kickoff return for a touchdown. The point is, if Clemson and Bama were going to play in another game, it would be a toss-up after watching last night, because it wasn't like Deshaun Watson was chucking the ball in the air. The dude was totally under control, running to either side of the football field. And Clemson's defensive line, I haven't seen Derrick Henry stop like that in a long time. And Bama, they were on their heels. Clemson had them on their heels last night, and Jake Coker needed to play unbelievable football. The throw he had down the sideline to Ridley was huge. On 3rd and 2, when Bama was up 38-33, for Jake Coker to get a first down, alertly fall down in play near the goal line was a play that was monumental. But you look at this game, and Clemson, I really do think that Clemson, if they were going to strap it up again, I think Clemson would have the upper hand, because Derrick Henry was stopped last night. Alabama was forced to play Clemson's game. Clemson wanted a shootout. They wanted Deshaun Watson to dictate play. They didn't want Henry to get off. And Clemson did everything that they wanted to do. It's an onside kick. Special teams play. It's a blocked field goal. It's all of these factors, and the attention to detail of Lane Kiffin losing O.J. Howard. Clemson made Alabama play their game last night, and that's something we haven't seen Alabama resort to. You look at all their games, as illustrated earlier in my point. Mississippi State was shut out. SEC title game, Florida, no chance whatsoever. Auburn, it was 17-3. Bama likes 24-10 games. They don't like going in the 40s. They really don't like playing that way. Credit to Lane Kiffin and O.J. Howard and Jake Coker having a career day. But for people out there that are just saying Alabama's the better team and Clemson was nowhere close, I would argue actually that Clemson last night actually looked like the better team. More stable quarterback. They were fresher at the end of the game. They were able to run off tackle, and they were able to make plays. Running the ball for Wayne Gallman later in the game, and Deshaun Watson controlled the tempo, and Alabama had some very, very important breaks go their way, such as blocked field goals and punt returns. And don't take away from Alabama's performance. I mean, the coaching was fantastic and the players executed the game plan, but that game's a toss-up where Clemson is a favorite if they were gonna play it again. That's honestly what I would say, because that wasn't a fluke. Clemson is literally right there, and it wasn't a dominant Alabama victory like we've seen. Clemson is a different animal. They're right there near the top. If they stay healthy, they should be the favorites, and they might be going to Tampa and taking some hardware with them next year.